The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
So my brother, Rabbi Duvi Bensoussan, he learned by many Gedolim in Eretz Yisrael. He got smicha, and they told him here in Eretz Yisrael, although he had a yeshiva there, the nickname that his yeshiva, it was called Yesod, but they nicknamed the yeshiva Last Stop, because it was the last stop. Pshuto k'mashmao. These were kids that were after the rehab centers. Lo aleinu lo alechem. We should never know from this. But these were the guys that already the world gave up on. They were mamash in the eyes of parents and most teachers goses. And they were sent off to Israel just to patter themselves, Kaylee. Just to, where else are you going to send them? We already sent them to California, and we already sent to Florida. I don't want to say. But the bottom line is, he was given the cream of the crop, the best of the best, the Eibishter's children. And they had this crazy success rate going on over there. Crazy success rate. Where the rehabilitation centers in the United States of America have a 17.5% success rate. Did you hear that number? Did you hear that number? You hear that number? Wow. Out of 100 kids that walk into a rehabilitation center, I'm talking about the best rehabilitation centers in the United States. You look this up. Chacham Google, you'll see it. The Shara Gugalim, you'll see over there. You'll see it. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll look up what the success rate in the best rehab centers for young teens that are obviously hitting up on the wrong things. And you'll see that the numbers are extremely low. And in Israel, they were doing 85% sex. I asked Yossi, I said, Yossi, I don't get it. What are you, a Tana? What are you doing? What's your gig? He said, I'm not doing anything special. I'm sitting down with the guys. I'm giving each guy his own Rabbi. Costly, but worth it, because Hayametim. And somehow or other, I believe in the product that the Torah itself is able to turn the insides out and change the essence of even an addiction. Wow. What a mahalach. And he was doing this for years. And he was saving, wow, hundreds of kids. And then his Rebbe came to him and told him, Yossi, we didn't train you for Eretz Yisrael. Ner le'elef. We were supposed to send you out. So they sent one of my brothers out to Lakewood, one brother out to L.A., another brother out to Cleveland, and Yossi was sent to Cleveland. And the idea was that he was going to run a high school, which he does, and he was going to run a rehab center, which he does. And he tells me the following story. He says there's a rabbi in Canton, Ohio. His name is Rabbi Kushner, and we got permission to use his name tonight on film, because if you've ever spoken in public and you're taped, you'll learn very quickly the do's and don'ts of what you can say when being recorded, because when they throw rocks, they're not pebbles, Rabotai. Listen to what I'm telling you. In the 9 days, when they throw rocks, they're not pebbles. We're looking at boulders and avalanches. So it goes like this. He says to me that Rabbi Kaufman, Canton, Ohio, calls Yossi up one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he says, Yossi, I need your help. Can you come out with me? He says to him, yeah. He said, I'm going to pick you up in 5 minutes. He says, where are we going to? I'll explain when you come out. So Yossi says, AJ, listen, I'm a little nervous. It's 2 in the morning. Where are you taking me? He said, no, just come out. He pulls up in a Suburban. Now, this guy doesn't drive a Suburban usually. So Yossi already is saying, something's up. He comes out to Rabbi Kaufman. He jumps in the car. He says, where are we going? He says, we're going to the other side of Ohio. He says, really? Where? And he tells him some Hickville place. He says, talk to me. What is going on? He says, listen to me. This afternoon, a guy walked into Tells, Cleveland, an unaffiliated, non-religious Jew. And he walks directly into the Bet Midrash of Tells, and he walks up to the first bacher, and he says to him, tell me, who do I speak to get somebody to say the thing that you say all year for someone who dies? B'zeh halashon, the thing. And right away the boy understood that he didn't understand. So he directed him to one of the Rabbi. He brought him to one of the Rebbes. The Rebbes understood what the man wanted. And he said to him, well, we could try to work out somebody. When is the Levaya? And he says to the rabbi, no. There's no funeral. My dad wanted to be cremated. He said he didn't want people to push, to schlep, for people to be matriach them. It's easy, kacha, in, out, in a little bottle of ashes, and that's it. He didn't want to really be matriach anybody. So he said he was okay with being cremated. When the rabbi in Telz heard that, he said, cremated? A yid? He quickly called up Rabbi Kaufman, because he's the Hevra Kadisha of Canton, Ohio. And he's a guy that gets things done, if you know what I mean. Somehow or other, the Hevra Kadisha people, in that certain third prism that we're talking about, has a certain siyata d'shmaya, in their own zone, that they get things done. And he's one of them. So Rabbi Kaufman is now driving with Yossi. He says, Yoss, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't know if you had the stomach for this. But we're on the way to the crematorium. We're going to bust this guy's body out of there. Yossi looks at Rabbi Kaufman and says, you're joking, right? He says, no. I'm not joking. We don't get this guy out in the middle of the night. By tomorrow morning, he's like the ashes of the paraduma. He's gone. I mean, he's done. He says, but how are we going to do it? He says, don't worry. I'm telling you, you'll see. Just stick with me tonight. Bezat Hashem, we're going to get this guy's body out. He said, okay. An hour later, they pull up the crematorium. Just he tells me he gets out of the Suburban. Now he hops why he came in a Suburban. You see, the trunk of his Toyota Camry is just not going to do it this time. You know what I'm saying? So he gets out, he says, the Suburban, I should have seen it coming. He gets out of the Suburban. Rabbi Kaufman turns to Yossi, do me a favor, Yoss, put down all the seats in the back. Yossi says, oh. He opens the back, puts down the seats, and he sees he already has these wooden boards going across the back. He says, he was preparing for this. I didn't even see this coming. Yossi says, I walk inside to the crematorium. There was a 6'2" hick. He looked like one of the devil's hands. He was one of those guys. The guy that had no expression, no charm, no face. He was literally the Shar HaGai, if you know what I mean. He was, I don't want to say it. Velo yordeh duma. We'll just leave it at that. This guy was Duma, the angel of doom. Yossi looks at this guy's face. He says, I saw death all over this guy's face. He's the one that runs the crematorium in Ohio. And Yossi looks at this guy, and he looks back at Rabbi Kaufman, and he says, Chavod, Hazaku Baruch, good luck. Rabbi Kaufman, I don't know. I'll jump on him. I might reach his kneecap. Like, what do you want me to do here? How are we going to... Just leave it to me. Just keep the car running. He said, okay, I keep the car running. I got the getaway car with the seats down and the wooden boards, of course. Yes, he walks back inside and he sees that Rabbi Kaufman is talking to this guy and he's schmoozing him up and he's talking to him. And finally he says to him, okay, so tell me, are you ready to bring out the body? He says, fine, Rabbi. I don't like you guys. That's what he tells him. I don't like you guys. You're messing up my business. But I'll bring him out for you, Rabbi. The guy goes into the back room. He opens the freezer. They hear the drawers opening, the drawers closing. And he comes out with a guy in a body bag. And there's no coffins here. There's a guy in a zipper. There's a guy in a body bag. Forgive me for the detail. I don't want to take away from your fleishiks in the middle of the 9 days. But this is the deal. And if I'm talking to the Hevra Kadisha, what I'm telling you is a walk in the park from what you guys have seen. So I'm allowed, at least tonight. He throws the body bag over his shoulder. He comes walking out like one of these lumberjacks, like he's holding and he flops it on the floor and he says, there's the guy, take him. So Rabbi Kaufman looks at Yossi and says, Yos, grab the legs, I'll grab the head, we'll take him. Just then, Og, Melech HaBashan, turns back to him and says, wait 1 second. You owe me $100 for the body bag. I want $100 for the body bag. So Rabbi Kaufman says, I'm paying you $100 for the body bag. I got my own body bag in the back of the Suburban. Yossi says, no, Rabbi, pay him the $100. I'll pay him the $100. I said, no way. On principle, I will not. He says, no, now's not the time for principles. It's 3 a.m. The guy is dead. He's giving him to us. Before Og changes his mind, grab it and let's run. The car is running. I put the seats down. The Suburban is open. Let's get out of here. Huh? That's crematorium. Spooky. Scary. Grab the bag. Let's get out of here. He says, no way. I will not. And Yossi tells me, I'm looking at this guy, and why isn't he feeling what I'm feeling? And he says, I chapped. Why? He's a Hefra Kadisha. This guy lives in the third prism of life. But these things don't even faze him. He says, so Rabbi Kaufman ran to the back of the Suburban and pulled out his own body bag with the same zipper. And he comes out and he says, Yossi, okay, let's do this. He says, no way am I doing this. He says, no, go, just unzip it. We'll roll him out of this bag. And he says, I'm not rolling. I don't want to look at the guy. This is not what for me. He says, I speak for a living. I don't do this. They unzipped the body bag. They moved him over to the other body bag. They zipped him up again. They gave Og back his body bag. Keep your $100. And they grabbed both sides and carried him out and put him in the back of the Suburban and locked him down with these Velcro straps on the back of these wood boards. And then Rabbi Kaufman goes back inside. Rabotai, you guys are great. I'm telling you, I wish I can do what you do. You guys are great. He walks back in. He looks Og straight in the eye, and he says to him, now listen, the next time you get anybody coming in here with a last Jewish name, this is my card, you call me. I will pay you for the amount that you normally make on a crematorium, and I will pay you $1,000 above. So not only aren't you losing on your business, you're going to be making money on every Jew that you deflect from the ovens of the back room. What do you say, bro? The guy looks at the rabbi. He says, Rabbi. All right, takes his card. Says, I'll call you if any Jews come through here. I'll call you. Rabbi Kaufman, it's unbelievable. These people are unbelievable. And I understand why. They live in a third zone. Ben Achayim u ben Ametim. He walks outside. They jump into the Suburban and they drive back to the cemetery closer to the Yiddish side of Ohio. On their way back, Rabbi Kaufman turns to my brother Yossi and he says, Yossi, listen to me well. I've been doing this for years. I want you to know something. Anytime that this type of situation went down, where somebody was on the brink of being cremated, and at the last second, mamish, like at the last second, crazy siyata d'shmaya kicks in, somebody calls somebody who by mistake found out about it, and found out who it was, and where it is, and they ran out, and they saved them on the bottom of the ninth inning. I'm telling you, this person had to have some big zichut in his lifetime to be saved. I'm going to find out tonight what that zichut is. They have this chat of all different religious groups in Ohio. And it's now coming early morning. Rabbi Kaufman puts on the chat the guy's name, the deceased, and the body bag in the back, and where he came from and what part of Ohio he lived in. Did anyone know any information about this guy? 10 minutes later, a lady writes up on the chat, I know exactly who that is, please call me. And she leaves a number. Rabbi Kaufman calls her on the spot. Yossi's still sitting in the front seat as they're pulling into the other side of Ohio. And he says, yes, ma'am, you know who it is? This is his name. She says, yes, he lived here and here. He lived in this apartment. He lived in this area. I know exactly who the guy is. He says, well, you're not going to believe it, says Rabbi Kaufman to the lady. We just literally heisted his body out of the crematorium. We're bringing him to a Kvur of Yisrael. The lady bursts out crying. She says, wow, this is amazing. She says, you know who this guy was? He was the aide. He was a Jewish guy, non-religious. He used to work as an aide for elderly people. And for 20 years, he was the aide of my father, who was a Holocaust survivor. And my father would not allow any of the Goyish aides to put tefillin on him in the morning, except for this guy. And this guy would put on tefillin with my father, and as he would put the straps over the numbers on my father's arm, he himself would give a krechs. This man put tefillin on my father for 20 years. My father, a Holocaust survivor. Rabbi Kaufman says to her, thank you. He turns to Yossi and he says, so? The Eibishter never forgets. The chesed. Milut chasadim. And to the last chesed of life, which is the last moment of Vayikbor Oto Bagai. The Eibishter makes good with that. Gemilut chasadim and chesed. And who does he use? The people that walk ben hachayim u ben hametim. The ones that live in that third prism. Thank you for listening.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org